podcast pre-season. It's exactly what I knew would happen. I've never been a fan of Captain's Challenge from that perspective because, as I said before the season started, it will create more debate. It won't clear up some issues. It will create debate. It creates stoppages and delays in the game. Because we don't have the quality of coverage, we don't have a bunker system, so we're dealing with different directors who speak different languages when we're in France, in different situations. So some grounds you're in the ground, some grounds you're in a studio or whatever in Wilmslow. There isn't a uniform system and process and personnel. It creates delays in the system, which doesn't help. You get teams as well that ask for stupid things to be challenged. Let's be honest.
Well,
I mean that is what I would do. I mean, I would do that, but yeah.
We then get frivolous challenges late in the game just for the sake of it.
Likewise, yeah.
So
I'd do that.
Everybody has to play a part in it. I also think officials at times are dissecting things a little bit too much. But you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But that's probably on Captain's Challenge. What that then does is add pressure then, because there are more stoppages in the game, which I said to you, there won't just be 2 Captain's Challenges in a game, because some will come back inconclusive and some will be successful. So you'll get 3, 4, 5 Captain's Challenges in a game, plus 4 or 5 video calls in a game, and therefore inevitably the game was always going to be longer. But what it's doing, it's adding pressure then onto the decisions that are tricky. And you saw some decisions at the weekend where you have to break them down as a video referee, one element into the next element into the next, and you have to check each one. This is why my view on video refereeing is that we must go to the NRL model, and it should have been brought in when they brought Captain's Challenge, is that any try that's the referee thinks is a try should just be awarded, and it should be reviewed. That would eliminate those ones in the corner, which are actually straightforward decisions, one look or whatever. You can just check it, which needs to be checked because we need to check his foot's in touch and all the rest. That's easily resolved. There'll always be decisions where you then say, hang on a minute, we need more time to check it, let's do a referral. That would relieve some pressure, it would save some time in the game. So I think there's a few things. Yeah, I think officials can be a little bit quicker, but there's so many other things there around that can aid the match officials. To heap it all on the match officials, I think, is unfair. Foul play, your guess is as good as mine.
Well, we've had 4 red cards and none of those players have been banned. And I know it's a different system and it's totting up and all that, but it just seems to be that what the video referee is telling the on-field referee has happened is not being backed up by the match review panel.
Well, you take a couple of incidents. The whole incident, I can't remember the young lad's name, who got sent off in the game last week for the shoulder charge. According to the minutes, is not a shoulder charge. Well, every man and his dog thinks it's a shoulder charge. Every man and his dog thinks he's being hit in the head with a shoulder to his head. I cannot understand that decision by match review panel to not charge that player. But I think it goes back a few weeks ago, and I can't remember which incident it was, but the player wasn't charged. Was it the game at Hull? I think I reviewed that game. There was a player sent off early in the derby, wasn't there?
Cade Cust.
Yeah, and look, I understand, it wasn't deliberate, it was a collision, and it... but if I brace for contact, I wouldn't brace like that.
Yeah.
Having said that, but I never played. But there was no ban that came off it, and I think what we've seen off the back of that is more foul play, which is inevitable. Because if the MRP don't support, or they're not there to support, if they don't follow up and agree with, and therefore sanction players, the perception is it's a bit like if no one polices speeding, people will speed.
Just do whatever you want. Yeah.
We wouldn't all do the limp.
No, so I think to some extent it's not floodgates, but the doors have been opened, which has allowed more foul play into the game, which means the referee then have to pick up the slack. I don't know. I think I don't necessarily agree with some of the decisions of match review panel. I don't think we necessarily got everyone right. The one at Leeds, I think, was the wrong decision, where the player clearly. I've forgotten the players involved.
If
and
that
I reviewed
wasn't
that
mitigation,
game.
I don't know what.
So that should have been a yellow card.
Yeah.
For me,
Or
it
possibly
clearly
even a
dropped.
penalty. It certainly wasn't a red card.
But the off the ball challenge in that game, which was the red card at the end of that game or towards the end, has always been a red card. He hits him without the ball, off the ball, shoulder to head. That's a red card for me. What I can't then understand is why he's not been charged. Yeah. When he would have been charged in previous seasons, you know, if you're one of these players or lawyers involved in this challenge, I think you'd be lapping it up.
Yeah, you've got some precedent there now, which is not good.
And I think one of the difficulties for the RFL is that it is an independent process. You know, the RFL cannot govern the decisions of the match review panel. It's an independent panel.
But you would think that the panel, as constituted, and the referees as instructed, would be working to a common hymn sheet.
You'd think so, but it doesn't appear to be so, does it?
The point system has merit, but it doesn't seem to be being applied.
No.
In a way that if it was a grade D and it brought a 3-game ban, we all knew where we were.
I think it's difficult.
Now it's a grade D and you get some points and you get them taken off because it was in the first half, and you know, your mother's got a nice maiden name, so that doesn't count. And
I think it's difficult for the referees. You know, I think the public feel that the Hull player, sorry I forgot his name, sent off in the Magic game should have been banned and wasn't. And then you start thinking as a referee, well, hang on, if he's not been banned, then should I have sent him off? And then you start second guessing what you should or shouldn't do.
Well, but the thing about that is normally social media is awash with 50-50. Some people saying it's a disgrace, the game's gone, and the others going, oh, it's, you know, he'll be lucky to not get a 10-game ban for that. I didn't hear much dissent saying he didn't deserve to be sent off from fans, from pundits, from and then like to be not charged that his technique was fine. You just think you just opened a bit of a floodgate there.
I think so. And the thing is, there should be greater levels of consistency because there's a framework that the match officials and the MRP are working to. And so you follow that framework. So there should be greater levels of consistency, not increased levels of inconsistency. So I think it is concerning as a game because people should have an idea what's a red or yellow. They may disagree with it. But I think where there's uncertainty as to the likely outcome, it doesn't help for clarity, does it?
Fixtures in Super League this week. Not that anyone can see us at the minute. St Helens versus... No, his internet's broken, but the podcast is still going now. I've recorded that bit, so I'll make it a video. St Helens versus Catalans on Thursday. I could do anything. I could be flicking the VC. You don't know.
That happened to me plenty of times when I was going to the video ref. Yeah.
Behind your back, that was worse. Leeds versus Hull on Friday. Wigan versus Lee, both kicking off at 8, so that's good. Is Wigan where they've got Black Lace this weekend, or an approximation of Black Lace? Saturday, Hull KR versus Huddersfield. But before that, it's the Saints Leeds game in the Women's Super League, so watch that as well. Sunday, Wakefield Warrington, 3 o'clock kickoff for the Dowell Pal Derby. I thought, I can't be bothered going to that, I'll go to work instead and get paid. Followed at 5:30 by Castleford Salford. So the other week when we had those 2 games on at the same time, this week on a Sunday, we haven't. How have we managed that?
What time have they got for Huddersfield?
5:30.
Yeah, it is 5:30, but it's still showing us 3 on some outlets, but it is 5:30.
Check with CFAX before you go out. James, are you back with us next week? Or
I don't know.
You might be,
I have no
back
idea.
On the board of the RFL or whatever.
I won't be on that.
James will be back with us. It's been good to see you.
Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot.
But what by Gordon Lightfoot?
Sundown by Gordon
Sundown.
Lightfoot.
Are we still on the? Are we still on the radio?
Apparently.
I don't know how they've managed that. But yeah, so that's what's coming up on the radio. So we'll be back with you next Monday. I don't know. I don't even know put running on them because it's broken. But we'll see you next Monday. Thanks for watching, listening. Like, subscribe, share, and yeah, we'll see you next week. Podcast over.